Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Teacher's Surgery. We've got the ladies here tonight. We've got Sabs, we've got Amber, we've got Nyasha. How you all doing today?
Hey.
It's
All
nice
right.
to be on an all-female episode.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Team.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna represent for the mandem, you know. I'm gonna challenge, try and unbalance the balance.
Unbalanced. Yeah.
So our first question today is, well, actually, some of you that didn't know, in our last episode, it got a bit heated. We had Sabs, we had Daniel Clementine, and we were talking about representation and BAME and how that affects the students. And a particular viewer had some questions that they wanted to challenge what was said. And we thought it would be right to put this as a topic today, right? So we're going to get into it. It is, are schools just ticking boxes when it comes to employing BAME staff? And BAME is basically black and minority,
Black Asian
minority ethnic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to start, Nyasha?
Are they ticking boxes? Is it just or is it a thing that really works?
Do
Essentially?
you know what? It's a bit of both, I think. Having looked at the previous discussion, obviously I did talk about there not being enough representation. However, sometimes because of that, schools do sort of think, okay, right, where can we get our Muslim person? Where can we get our black person? Where can we get our Eastern European person or something? So schools can sometimes, if they look across the board and think, oh, we need a little bit more diversity. I can think of one experience where it was a particular college where previous to that college, they'd never had anybody who was, they'd always had either a white female or a white male at the time. I think that that particular head was leaving, and people did feel that, okay, maybe she gave that job to someone who was black because her being black and female. And later on down the road, that particular head wasn't really very good at all. And a lot of people then began to question, even more so, as to really, why was this person employed? Sorry,
You're
I do
saying
think it could be
representation
to tick the box.
versus competency.
Yeah, it was.
Is that what's happening
Yeah,
there?
the person was very incompetent across. This wasn't just my opinion. This was across the whole place. Everybody felt that this person was incompetent.
Can I just ask a question randomly? Do you have a tick list of things that you say you're going to achieve, things that you need to do as a teacher,
Of
as
course,
a mom?
yeah.
I have a tick list, and sometimes I feel like, you hear the term or the phrase tick list, and we automatically put it in a negative category.
Yeah.
But in a way, like, we need it because we've got so many things, so many responsibilities. Maybe, they don't know the answers to everything, so they do see that they're lacking in representation. So saying, oh, we need to find professionals that are black and Asian so that we can so that the students can personally identify with them, is that really a bad thing?
I'm kind of conflicted with it sometimes because I have an incident that happened with my family. One of my cousins, he goes to a private school, and he was having issues at this school. And then they decided that they needed to help him, in certain ways. The school decided, okay, what could they do? And then they employed a black mentor. And then some of my family members were like, oh, that's really brilliant. But then my thing was, well, why wasn't a black mentor in the school in the first place? Why did you feel? Because in that school, he was the only black child. So why, on one hand, I can see that it was positive because, okay, they felt that maybe he could identify. But then my thing was, so if he hadn't had any problems, that means you weren't going to employ a black member of staff in that school.
So it took for your nephew to
to break that.
And then I thought,
and
then looking at it deeper, the issue wasn't race related. The issue was he just wasn't getting on for whatever reasons. It had nothing to do with race. So why do they then bring in somebody?
Is it not because of
it's-
trying to find somebody who is on the same wavelength, something that they can communicate with, something that they'll feel more? Because I'm putting myself in that situation. Look, I think it's so difficult. We want companies, whether it's schools, education, wherever you're working, we want them to be responsive to equality and diversity and inclusiveness.
Yeah.
Equality meaning everybody's treated fairly. Diversity is celebrating different paths, different cultures, religions. Inclusivity, making sure nobody's left out. We want all that to be celebrated, but now when they do, and I agree with you, when they start to have a checklist of how can we do this, we then blame them for being tokenistic. Tokenistic as in employing a Pakistani or a Muslim or Nigerian for the sake of ticking a box.
Yeah.
So it's that balance of, well, do we want them to respond? And is that not a good thing that your nephew received somebody who he can relate to, rather than ignore that? And then, therefore, how did your nephew do? How did he respond to it?
And can you say it was
my
purely
issue
because
with
of that as well?
Okay, my issue with that is my nephew comes from a middle class family. Okay, so just because he is
but he also walked into an organization where he wasn't seeing anybody who was in the middle class that was black.
But I don't know if that has affected him though.
Has it made it worse?
And this is the issue, because sometimes we feel that by doing that, that's they need. I'm not saying we don't need representation. Of course, we need representation.
Yeah.
But you can have. But you could have I could be a student and have a fantastic white male teacher that I just relate to, that I just get on brilliantly with. And I've seen some black teachers have been employed. And I remember one particular teacher said to me, how comes you get on so well with all the students, but I don't? All the students hate me. And you know what? She's black, and she was a young, very, very young teacher. Yeah. So looking at it on paper, you'd think you're gonna do amazing things because you're gonna fit in, and yet the students hated her. So I don't know.
It takes more than the color of your skin to do a good job. Yeah, of course.
Can I just share from personal experience, because I was brought up north, so I'm from Liverpool. I don't know if you guys went to school here or somewhere else, but up north is predominantly white, and I'm quarter white as well. So when when people ask me, oh, when did you decide you wanted to be a teacher? Who's your favorite teacher? My favorite teacher, and I'm not to sound like I'm picking sides because of color, was at college, because I first met the black teacher that I'd never met. In fact, all the teachers that I knew were white at my school. If you were black, you were never in school unless you were a student.
That was the same experience for me. I didn't.
But things are changing.
There was 3 of us in our school who were black. The whole school, everybody was white, and the teachers were white. So for me, and then you have Eastern Europeans as well, a part of the BAME community. And then I went to Africa.
I don't even like that. I don't like that terminology, BAME.
Yeah, because it's not inclusive of other.
Okay. It almost seems if you're not white British, then you are considered an other.
But is that not a fact, though, in terms of being a minority? If you're not white British, you are legit.
An other.
Not an other, but you are a minority, which is what the classification is.
But when you look at what society is in London,
it's probably not the minority anymore.
That's a good point.
It's not the minority anymore, yes, yeah. But they're not using that word anymore now.
No, they're not.
They're not. That's changed now.
They changed it to global something.
Yeah, they're not using that word minority anymore.
Somebody did mention that they were that they are a teacher, and in their school, they were the only white English teacher. And
she might have felt uncomfortable as well.
And then no, the person said that they didn't feel uncomfortable at all, so that's why they couldn't understand why.
Can I bring
a necessity to have?
Can I bring something from listening? Right, is that, for example, I'm really torn. Right, my favorite teacher was a white English hippie guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Mitchell. Listen, find me on Facebook. I've been reading for this. That guy deserves flowers. White guy, absolute just hipster. Made me love English. Completely different socioeconomic status to me. Like, he didn't grow up in London at all. But what I do know is that a lot of my peers, their favorite teachers was the guys that came from the area. We had a lot of teachers
Same
that in our school, a lot of the teachers went to the school that they
Yes.
and they understood exactly. We say things like the ends. There's certain social codes and things like that. And I think we underestimate how important those things are, right? So I'm caught up because at the same time I'm like, I try and think, oh well, imagine a school in Hampshire, and all you've got is BAME teachers. Basically, like they're like,
So we
what's going
have-
on? They should do that as a social experiment one day. Do you understand? Just bring like black and other minorities and Pakistani.
Look, and with
whatever.
with any education provider,
Yeah.
what you must do, and I think I said this on the previous episode as well, is that there's a responsibility from the school or the college to look at the local community and see what's needed. There are some schools where they're plugged in, and I know one school's plugged into a local community where almost 90% of the learners and parents are from a Bangladeshi background.
Yeah.
So of course they want to try to recruit more Bangladeshi staff. That makes sense. Why would anybody be offended by that to say, well, why are you giving me a Bangladeshi teacher just because I'm Bangladeshi? Are you trying to make me feel uncomfortable or more comfortable?
No, but
I
then-
think
but
what
then-
we, the core responsibility for schools is to facilitate learning, not just for their learners that are coming into the premises, but also for the wider community. And that's the drive forward now. That's what a lot of schools and colleges are not doing. Wider community means inclusiveness of who you're providing
going to
for.
do that?
Your learners are your customers. How
And I
do you
know
keep them
exactly.
happy?
And I understand
How
what
do you
she's
keep them
saying
happy?
about,
I'm going
it
to get
might
you
be
to make up the last
tokenism,
point.
But I get, but at the same time, it's like, I remember walking into a school, my younger brother, he's in year 12. I went to school recently to go and see how he was behaving in class. The teacher actually said to me right there and then in Liverpool, we want to offer you a job. And I was like, oh, sorry, I've already got a job. I'm fine. And he was like, look out there. And I remember looking out the window and seeing like it was a common room and all the students were just doing their work and that. And then you saw like a group of boys just sitting around in the middle of the floor. And they were all black Somalian, black African, black Caribbean, just sitting there. And he said, you see those boys? They got no representation.
Yeah, you see,
They
it's
have
so
no meaning,
That's
no
important.
purpose.
That does
And
make
what's happening right now is that we as staff are failing them. We as the educational system are failing them. And I know you might take offense to it. And you know what? You're probably thinking, what race was he? He was white. Right?
No,
he was
I wasn't.
white, middle class, and he actually
And he saw
just
it.
saw it for what
Yeah,
it was.
'cause they're
But he
trying
was just
to-
an honest person
trying to
who
change
wanted
things
to change
around.
things. And
Absolutely,
he said
it's
to me,
very important.
he said, one second, let me land. on
Okay,
this.
okay.
Let me land. He said that the black and Asian and European staff in the school were only teaching assistants or dealing with behavior.
which we just
And he said
Ah.
it's not enough.
And it's
Yes.
not
He
enough.
said it's not enough. He says it puts like a blank, like a
ceiling.
block,
Yeah.
a ceiling, where the students think, what they can amount to,
Yeah.
what goals they can achieve.
Yeah.
You know, what level can they aspire to be at?
Yeah.
You know,
We need more. We need more.
Everyone, I'm
Those
going
tick
to have to lay
boxes.
down the
Just one
thing.
thing, that tick box that we were talking
All
about,
right.
that tick box, I think more businesses, more schools, they need
it.
that statement of including more ethnic groups recruited into their environment. That needs to be on their checklist. That should happen more.
I definitely agree.
Okay,
with that,
Nyasha,
but
this is
just-
the very last point.
Okay, yes, it's just the last point. You see, it is such a it's a complicated topic. Okay, because yes, I 100% believe, like even in that example, but then this is one of the issues as well. So it's almost like black teachers in particular. I'm going to zoom in on black teachers. It seems like still, even though, yes, you've talked about behavior and mentors, we still are labeled with, oh, you know, all those bad kids, those black teachers will be able to deal with them. Why? Why can I not come in and not have to? Why do I feel?
Because there's
lying.
equally
No,
bad,
because there's-
equally
That's
naughty
the point.
white
Mindset.
kids. And
It
equal,
is a
yeah.
But yeah,
concept. And every black teacher who comes in, there are black teachers who do not live in Hackney, who've never lived in Hackney. There's black teachers who live in Chelsea.
but
And
there's
they don't
also a lot
have-
of black
no,
teachers
but
that
and
laughed
don't
at as well.
Hold on, and they do not understand this. But they're thrown in as soon as they get into a school. Oh, but you know, you're a representation, so you'll be able to deal. And that's the only issue I have sometimes, because I find even for myself as a teacher,
have that.
I've always had to deal
But
with
it's
everyone.
also-
Hold on,
Can I just
okay.
finish?
But it's
Can I just
also-
say-
Sam-
can I just
yeah.
say,
but Nyasha-
I've
Nyasha.
always had to deal with behaviour as a teacher, I've always been the one, and I love it. I love helping all the roadmen and all the little kids and all
Yeah.
the bad ones, but sometimes give me a break.
But there's
Another white
also
teacher
good
can
black
help that.
kids. There's also
No,
very
that's
good
how-
black kids.
Exactly. No, exactly. There's also
I have to
very
let
good
them go.
black
The
kids.
time is gone. The time has gone. The
We
time's
just
gone.
need to let that land as well. There
Yeah,
are also very good
Alright.
black kids.
Yes,
Okay.
we've got some real rising stars.
Alright.
Absolutely, we must continue.
No,
we can't
no,
give
it's
up.
when it's the women's only
Yeah,
episode.
we can't give up. Whether you're black, Asian, whatever you are,
We
you
want
know,
you to
keep
teach.
going.
We want you to
going.
excel.
We
Keep
want you to
going.
teach. We
Alright.
want you
Yeah.
good representation.
All right,
Yeah,
so
keep going.
we're gonna shorten the second part. Of our episode. So anyway, the second part is we're gonna ask and spin the wheel, and we're gonna see who gets the mystery question. One of you lot, we've
gonna be
picked
black.
your question from the DMs, and we're gonna ask it now. Let's see who it lands on.
Again.
Triple black.
What's going
That's
on?
wow.
That's crazy.
Hey.
There's blacks in the building.
Hey. Anyway, so that is Nyasha actually.
Huh?
That is you. And it's a simple one. What were your best or worst memories in school?
Best memories in school were me being, I suppose, twofold really, because I went to school in England and in Africa. So in England, I was always in trouble, always getting told off, always sent out the
You were that
class.
black student.
The black student that was the class joker, everything. Went to Africa, could no longer be the joker because nobody's finding you funny. So yeah, there's the two type of different things. So I would say just my best and my worst is actually having experience of both England education and then boarding school and stuff in Africa, and it was brilliant. So yeah, those are my two.
Amber?
I think my best moment at school was to be free, because I feel like I had a lot of responsibilities at home. I was a child of 13 siblings, so coming home and then having to help my mum and do a lot of things. So going to school was like, I can be free.
13.
Yeah. So as soon as the bell went, I had to go home. I was not the one that could hang
Wow.
around and laugh and joke. So when I got there, I was laughing and joking a bit too much, and I was always sent out of class for laughing and joking way too much. But they're still best memories. And worst memories, I don't really have one.
Okay.
Yeah. My best memories being elected by my group. I think I was in year 8 at the time as the student council,
Okay.
and I was elected.
I see the smirk. I can imagine how
She's
you would have
making
been.
me
Yeah,
laugh.
I can see it.
And you know what that meant a lot to me?
Yeah.
Because I was so far from being elected in my home.
Ah,
I know, it's so sad, right?
that's a problem right there,
So
man.
I was, and that's always been the case for me. Whereas my mum, she was a single parent. She had her own challenges,
Yeah.
but it was often kind of like mixed in, forgotten about. And then you go to school and you're the one that everybody looks up to, and everybody chooses you to speak for them. And at that point is when I decided I've got a voice and
Yeah.
I'm going to get far. And this is why even today, to be where I am and what I've achieved, I know that I'm proud of myself and I acknowledge it myself. And that's where it all started. My worst moment is, whenever it came to the 6 weeks holidays, I didn't have anything to do. And this is why I do so much where I am in my college. I mean, as a director of quality, I don't have to be getting involved in students' direct life. We do more strategic decisions. But one thing that I've always plugged in wherever I've gone is I've said, summer's coming. What do we have going on for the kids? I don't want them spending the whole 6 weeks feeling like they've got nothing to go to and nowhere to go. What are we doing as a college, as a school? Okay. So if you're a parent and you're listening to this, contact your schools. They have a responsibility to be putting programs on. Your colleges put a responsibility to put programs on for those learners. No learner should be going home dreading the 6 weeks because they've got nothing to focus on.
I love that.
So get going.
100%.
Get going.
Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
My best moment, earlier on in another episode, I mentioned a teacher called Mr. Mitchell, right? And in general, listen, every time I was in this man's class, right, he made me feel like I was the smartest man in the world. And I remember I was very arrogant, right, in general, yeah. But like,
You
he
was?
used to.
I'm joking. I'm joking. Like,
No, he used to honestly say things like Like he just used to make me like run the class with him. Like he just leaned on me
You
so
deliver.
much.
Yeah.
And I used to love
Strategy.
reading and stuff like that. And he stopped me from getting beats in parents' evening because I had
'Cause Elijah.
terrible reviews from every other teacher, and I saved him till last, which was the best decision I ever made. Yeah. And
Smart.
and this because he's an English teacher. You know, English teachers know how to speak. He said, you know,
Yeah, we do.
he said, Mr. Des is conscious. Yeah. That's my dad. He's speaking to it. Yeah. And he said, your student is one of the best students I've ever.
Your child.
Your child, sorry, is one of the best students I've ever
Correction.
dealt with. And like he just spoke so highly of me. I was like thinking, what is he talking about me? And it honestly, I'll never forget that parents' evening.
Your dad was smiling.
I'm telling you, man.
Did you go on to do
Uncle
English
August.
then?
I went on to do journalism and things like that. Yeah,
stems
related.
from the
Yeah,
English.
of course.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So your career is
Yeah.
as a result
Yeah,
of
honestly,
that
that's
really
yeah.
good teacher
Yeah.
who believed
Mr.
in you.
Wilson,
Yeah. My worst moment is playing football and basketball with my shoes. My parents telling me they're only gonna buy that one pair. If it goes, then I have to do what I do.
know that
So having holes in my shoe for
Same.
most of the year.
Same.
And then
Carrying it on to
wearing
the
my
end.
dad's shoe. He works for London Underground. It had a big London Underground logo
Yeah.
on it. So that
Do
was
what
my,
you gotta
that was
do.
my most
Yeah.
embarrassing moment.
Yeah.
And you know,
But-
teachers see that.
Yeah.
Sometimes now we might even just invest and help the children out. But
Yeah.
See, they did do that. Yeah, we did
They
do
have
this,
more
yeah.
initiatives now. They have food banks going, and they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
charity
I
clothes
suppose.
going, and
But, yeah.
you know, because they're seeing. But I can't speak for you, but I know with my time, I don't blame my parents or my parent because they had their own challenges. You know, we definitely overindulge with our children. I know with my three, I overindulge. I give them everything they want, which is not always great. But you know, our challenges are different today, and their challenges were different. They couldn't always
And
sort of
look
provide
at
for
you
us. Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It's
All
where
right.
you ended up now. you
Totally.
know?
Totally.
All right.
Yeah.
So that is the end of this
Thank
episode.
you. I enjoyed that.
That was a great episode. I loved the first topic and I enjoyed the second one as well. But that's a wrap from us for today's episode. Can I get a woohoo? All right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. And don't, ask us as many questions as you want. We're always gonna look into your questions and represent them here. So take care from me, take care from everyone else.
Bye.
Bye.